Well, it's been probably around a month since we put our last video out, and times have been crazy. There's been lots of flooding through our state recently, which has obviously caused a lot of damage.
The heaviest rain started falling over central Victoria last Thursday, spilling the Lockington Dam and swelling the Campaspe River.
Right now, 3 towns are under evacuation orders: Bumbatha, Echuca and Charlton. Even more areas right across the state under emergency warnings. The SES confirming it has conducted 173 flood rescues across the state in the past 24 hours.
What are we looking at? About 70 mil. Had about 70 mil rainfall here, and we've been lucky. We've been really lucky in that it's not really affected us around here other than overflowing tanks and whatnot, which is kind of nice coming into summer. And mosquitoes are around again, which is really irritating. But apart from access to other places being a little bit restricted, we haven't copped much of the brunt of it, which has been really fortunate for us. Other people haven't been so lucky, so we are thankful for the position that we have. So our acre is situated on a slant, and we are at the very top corner of the property. So our house is not in any problem. We're up on stumps as well, but our backyard, it's squishy underfoot, but it's survived really well because everything slopes away. I'm going to go down and have a look at the dam from the neighbours that's just at the back corner of our property, and it's been dry the entire time that we've been here. That dam has been empty, but I bet it's not now. I've taken out this fence in the last couple of weeks so I could get the ride-in lawnmower into the orchard. Oh, it's so squishy. I'm glad I was able to mow this in the last couple of weeks. That has heaps of water in it. Frogs are clearly loving it. So if you look back towards our place, all of the water would have gone across the paddock and down towards their dam. One of my original thoughts when we moved here was, because of this slope of the land, I'd really like for us to have our own little dam down the back here, but just not quite sure how it's going to go with space, but we'll see. It's still on the cards. But the extra rain has caused some grief in the garden. There's been a lot of things that shouldn't have had so much water and now they're damaged. And then there's other things that, with the extra warmth that's come along because the seasons have changed, but then been hit by sun and then the rain, things have exploded in ways they probably shouldn't have, but the weather has contributed to them going that way. A few days ago we were very excited to see our first cauliflower heads have started, and they were very nicely tightly packed at the start, and then a few days later they've just like spread out and it's kind of ruined them. So we were very excited to see that, and then very disappointed to see how it turned out. But other things are thriving at the moment. The season's changing and the extra warmth is really bringing out a lot of the flowers around the place, which is really, really nice to see. And again, our snow peas have gone crazy. I actually had to build this trellis coming up here because they got too high before and then they just flopped over like the other snow peas. And I had to cut them all back, and we lost quite maybe a foot of growth at the top. But since we've popped this up here, they've sprung back into action again. So I've got to try to train them to go across the top of it, but at the moment they just want to go up. So we'll just wait and see how they pan out. If you watched a couple of videos ago, we did one on sooty mould where we put a bunch of the white oil over our lemon tree to help with this condition on the leaves. It might not look like it's been effective, but I can tell you it's about 50% better than it was before. So we've only had one crack at it because the weather's been so bad. We haven't come through and given it a second try, and we always intended on giving it a second coat over. So we think that it's actually doing really well considering, and there is buds galore on this tree now, so it's definitely given it a bit of a boost. So we're very thankful to see that, and we'll give it another crack when the weather brightens up, pretty much. So we haven't got to replanting our berry alley down in the new area down by the grapevines yet. Again, the weather's just been ridiculous, so we just haven't found the right time to do it. And I'm not sure whether we should move them now that they've started having a growth spurt, or whether we should just leave them be for this season. So if any of you have an opinion on that, just comment it below so we can make a decision ourselves. Unfortunately, it seems like our raspberry here hasn't grown, and then this one here, the gooseberry, doesn't seem to have grown either, which is really disappointing. But I'm really keen on seeing how the other ones pan out. We have a ridiculous abundance of snow peas growing. They have just done amazing. I know we've talked about this in previous videos, but it's just gone nuts. This bush got up about this high, and then the wind made it flop over, and we ended up cutting it all back, and now it's up taller than I can reach now. So it's gone crazy. I just, thank God I love it so much. Ooh. Look at how fat these ones are going. They're not quite as big as some of the others, but they've puffed right out. Some of them are bigger than my handspan, which has been ridiculous. Believe it or not, all this Swiss chard that we've got going on here, we didn't plant it. It was in the beds before we got here. And when we came through, we really scraped these beds and weeded them out. But it must have seeded before we came to this property and before they cleaned up the beds. I don't remember if anyone remembers this video where I cleaned out the old artichoke beds by chopping off the old bits and just throwing them on the paths before we cleaned them up. But this is the outcome. Lots of little artichokes growing through the path. And quite a few made it into this bed. So we might just have a look and see how they grow, and if they grow quite well we might dig them out of the path, put them in their own pots and then give them away. This behind me is our faux orange bush, tree, not sure. But in my opinion this is the nicest smelling bush that we have in the whole property, and I can't wait to smell this just all through the gardens again this year. It's just coming alive now and I'm very, very excited for it. This is our fig tree for those who didn't see it last year. And we didn't know this, but first the figs actually grew before the leaves, which surprised us. I thought the leaves would have come out first like other trees we've got, but no, it was the opposite way around. And there is already hundreds and hundreds of figs growing on this tree. So we'll see if the birds have a 80% bird to 20% human ratio again this year, or if we can salvage a bit more because we're going to be here the whole time this year. Stay tuned to find out. Our intention for this area, once the vines grow over the top, is that it'll become a nice shady area by summer, where we can have tables and chairs and just hang out underneath,
and I'm trying to convince Betty it's a perfect spot for a little pool.
So the works on our re-stumping of the house got completed. The guys did a really good job. The only... but it's very loud at the moment. The only thing that I wish that they did slightly better is that, and it's probably not even their fault, it's that all of the sidings were meant to go back on, but they said that when they pulled them off they were all rotten, so they ended up just getting away with them. Me personally, I probably would have just temporarily put the rotten stuff back on as best I could, just to fill the gaps until I could find a permanent solution. But they just disposed of all of the rotten or half rotten, or maybe it was just material that they might not have wanted to put back on, but that's okay. So that's another project on the cards for me, is to cover that up. Originally we weren't going to let the cat come out until that siding was back up, but I knew it was going to take too long, so I've been letting him get out, and he loves getting under the house. So he's not quite a black cat anymore, he's very much a reddy dusty brown cat these days whenever he gets outside, because he adores it. Well, that's some of the stuff that's been going on this past month. So sorry we haven't been as up to date as usual. We'll attempt to be better going forward, but obviously the torrential rain that's causing flooding and whatnot in this area has had some impact on our ability to get outside and film, but we're looking forward to being able to share more with you shortly. See you guys.